Watchers at every side, they with us all the time. I see through your disguise, you can't look in my eyes. Christ warned me about you, waging war in the physical, this is spiritual battle. Watchers at every side, they with us all the time. They with us all the time. Wow. I see through your disguise, you can't look in my eyes. Can't look in my eyes. Christ warned me about you, waging war in the physical, this is spiritual battle. I got scriptural ammo, I can look at you and see your misery. Look for occasion to set me up so they can sentence me. Watch. They with us all the time, I see through your disguise, you can't look in my eyes. Christ warned me about you, waging war in the physical, this is spiritual battle. When I got scriptural ammo, I can look at you and see your misery. Look for occasion to set me up so they can sentence me.
Shabbat Shalom, 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 peace and blessings, family. As you come in, go ahead and get seated. I'm about to finish setting up, then we're gonna get started after the prelude.
Twist my words up, Pharisee, why you tempting me? The enemy been using this same method for centuries. You ain't low, Judas. You say you want my friendship. Trust, if you think that I'm scared, you got it twisted. I've been having dreams, I already know you plan a scheme. Everywhere we go, they got our faces on them camera screens. Enoch called them the watchers, let them watch us. Truthfully, I pray that you repent before your time's up, cause hell is waiting, sheep and goats gonna be separated. It's a lose-lose when you in bed with Satan. Watchers at every side, they with us all the time. They with us all the time. Wow. I see through your disguise, you can't look in my eyes. Can't look in my eyes. Christ warned me about you, waging war in the physical, this is spiritual battle. I got scriptural ammo, I can look at you and see your misery. Look for occasion to set me up so they can sentence me. Now that you in the truth, you in their database. Snapchat filters, now they can put name to face. Location on your post, they know your favorite place. Watchers at every side, it's like I can't escape. I plead the blood on my entire being. You say you woke, but can you stay awake? Disciples fell asleep when Christ told them watch and pray. Principalities on me, I'm like, not today. In Christ's name, I bind you demons up at every side. Cast them out to the abyss, Aki, don't let them slide. Your soul is at stake, that you can't jeopardize. They wasn't good for me, so I sabotaged. Real eyes, realize, realize. Hold your brother down, you don't want to see him rise. Kwam Yasharala, Kahayalam La'aba, Shabala Kam. Repent before they drop them bombs. If you listening, you still got some time. What? Watchers at every side, they with us all the time. They with us all the time. What? I see through your disguise, you can't look in my eyes. Can't look in my eyes. Christ warned me about you, waging war in the physical, this is spiritual battle. I got scriptural ammo, I can look at you and see your misery. Look for occasion to set me up so they can sentence me. Watch. Keep your eyes open, watch and pray. You know what I mean? Be alert of your surroundings. It's high time, stay awake. Prove your friends. Hey. Trust your discernment.
All right, family, again, Shabbat, Shalom, 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 peace and blessings, everyone. Welcome back to another live episode of Edifying Topics. Today, we are going to be tackling some anthropology fallacy. All right, we're going to be tackling some deception when it comes to this genetics, and we're also going to be revealing the true identity of Esau tonight. Now, everyone loves to believe that Esau is the Caucasian people. I almost said something else, but I ain't gonna say that. Everyone believes that Esau is the white man. So once we get more viewers in here, I'll ask a question and take a poll. But for the time being, I'm not going to keep holding things up. I'm finna just get into my presentation. All right. 1 second. Let's put this down. Again, I was supposed to do this presentation on the Brother K. Judas platform, but our times did not align. So we're going to do it here. And yeah, let's rock this thing out through the grace the Most High. Give all honor and glory to him, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach. And also, we will hopefully be moving through the Spirit tonight, because that's what allowed me to see and reveal all these things to you guys. Okay. All right. Forbidden truth about DNA, biblical table of nations. All right. And it's funny, I mentioned the Spirit, right? How this lined up. Now, this clip that I'm finna play, it just fell in my lap. I did not plan this. It happened literally today as I was finna upload the live today, that I ran across this clip. And I'm like, that's funny, because it touches on the exact same topics. I really don't know too much about this guy, Rich Tidwell, but he made it in today's presentation. All right, here we go.
For a group that may be converted to Judaism, but are lying about being the Israelites of the Bible. And the group that fits the bill historically is the Edomites. And so we're going to see if we can make the connection between the Ashkenazi and the Edomites, and whether the Ashkenazi actually are descendants of Esau rather than descendants of Ashkenaz. If that sounds interesting, say amen. 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 So Ashkenaz's line runs Noah, Japheth, Gomer, Ashkenaz, okay? Jacob's line is completely different. Noah. Okay, that's the same. Well, we all come from Noah after the flood, so that's no surprise. Everybody can claim to be of Noah. But it goes Noah, Shem. Now, Shem is important because Shem's line, although not everybody is of Abraham, Shem's line produces Abraham and produces the Israelites. Even though not everybody is Israelite, that produces. And if you remember, as we've talked about this, and I put this in my study, identifying ethnic Israel, 8 criteria for identifying ethnic Israel. The lost sheep found is the beginning part of the study, but it's 8 criteria for identifying ethnic Israel. In that study, we identified the fact that modern science has proven there's essentially 3 genetic pools on Earth. Now, they break off into subcategories and all of that. That's how genetics work, but ultimately we all have a common male ancestor, and there are 3 primary genetic pools. Well, very interestingly, the Bible teaches exactly that. The common ancestor would be Noah, and then the 3 genetic pools would be Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay? Guess what? On Earth, there's literally 3 genetic pools, and they all descend from one common male ancestor. So the secular science happens to align with the Bible, and when you really start to dive in, you'll start to see this, that actually happens more often than not. You'll find that made-up science, of course, doesn't line up with the Bible. So people make up the theory of evolution, and they'll say we descended from monkeys. Well, there's no hybrid, half monkey, half man, for us to look at to prove that that's true. And so there's a whole area of science that starts to say, well, we came from monkeys. The truth is, even secular geneticists, I think, for the most part, reject evolution because it shows that we all came from a common male ancestor, not from a primate. So, important to understand that. Okay, now here's a question I want to ask you. Oh, wait, Jacob's line. Let's go over Jacob's line. Noah, Shem. Then it goes Arphaxad, Selah, Eber, Peleg.
Shabbat Shalom, Elder L. Yeah, we just getting started. You just in time. And it's funny, right? Rich, he mentions that secular science lines up with 3 distinctive groups. Now, if you follow my work, you will see in my first documentary that there are 3 distinctive groups, but none of them are close to what the 3 actual groups are. Their 3 groups still mix the different patrilineal houses. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just that the Spirit is working through me, thanks to the Abba, that I was actually able to break down the 3 different groups. Let's get back into this slide. All right. All right, as you look right here, you see the table of nations, but y'all are not going to look at this too fast because we ain't get to that part yet. All right. So to understand paternal Y-DNA, period, you must follow these strict rules. It's strict rules when it comes to it. Salute, Elder K. Judah. You made it, brother. Salute. All right, back to how you identify these groups. When it comes to anthropology, genetics, genealogy, whatever you want to call this crap, right? You have to follow this major rule. And I'm going to show you how do they align with the biblical genealogy. All right. Before we start with the three major Y, patrilineal, paternal markers, we must establish the ground rules for genetics when it comes to male DNA. It is tracked inside the nucleus of the male, the nucleus cell of the male, right? Now, for the females, the women, they do not track you guys inside of the nucleus. They track it outside of the cell wall for mitochondrial DNA, because if they try to track you all inside the nucleus where you find where the sex of the organ, right, you will see recombination. As you see on the mom side, you see this yellow X and this purple X right here. So when this mother drops an egg to have a child, it combines. You see that? You see the yellow on top with the purple, it mixes in. But when you see the fathers over here, that Y just goes down in a straight line. It doesn't mix. So that's why it's easier to track the male DNA this way. Shabbat Shalom, woke yourself. Shabbat Shalom. All right. Now, since the male have the Y and it doesn't go through recombination, it is easier to track the ancestry. The Y is passed from father to son throughout the generations in a straight line, avoiding admixtures. This is why the Most High Yah tells you that you are the seed of your father. It's simply designed so the paternal lineage can be tracked by its pedigree. All right, hold on. Hey, let me see. How do I make... I'm going to start some mods real quick. Okay, Judah, how do you make somebody a mod on her? I ain't mean to show you. It's crazy. Let's keep putting it out there. Trying to promote Elder L to a mod. Whoa, you want to be a mod too? I got a feeling I'm gonna get some trolls in here tonight. My channel was posted in the Facebook group. Somebody didn't like that I was defending Ron Dalton. All right, I guess I have to do it myself on the mod. I'm clicking names and hold on, let's see. Yeah, it will not. It say delete comment, put in timeout. It don't say nothing about making a mod. All right, back to the presentation. All right, Shemite man will begot Shemite children. Hamite man will begot Hamite children. Japhethite man will begot Japhethite children. This is the genetic code written by the Most High Yah. 3 genetic patrilineal houses, 3 sons of Noah. Is there a coincidence here? All right. So group 1, I have signed basal. We're going to call them basal. We have this group is YAP negative and M89 negative. Group 2 is M89 negative. Group 2 is M89 positive, right? They don't carry the YAP. They just M89 positive. And then we got group 3. That's the YAP group, right? All right. When you look into each Y haplogroup, they fit into one of these 3 respective groups. 3 Y groups, 3 sons of Noah. Coincidence? All right. And these right here, this is what they call mutations in secular science. M89, they call it a mutation. In YAP, they call it a mutation. and the basal group have neither one of these distinctive mutations. All right, let's go. Now, before we assign each group to where it belongs, this does not guarantee anyone's salvation. You know what it said about receiving salvation. This goes for Israelites. This goes for Israelites. I'm going to make one more emphasis. This goes for Israelites and other nations. Let's continue. Just because you got the blood don't mean that you granted access. You still got to put in the work. All right. For the basal house, that's assigned to Ham. This house is YAP negative and M89 negative. The house of Ham are both YAP negative and M89 negative. This includes Y haplogroups A, B, C, and F star, or F basal, as you want to call it. F basal, F star, those of groups F, G, H, and K who do not carry the M89 marker that mainstream is labeled to continue their out of Africa deception. I will cover more of this in the next installment of Forbidden Truth about your DNA. I was supposed to upload the out of Africa map so you guys can see the deception behind that, on how they say they have everybody starting out of Africa, and then as mutations come along, they turn to all these other different haplogroups. Man, it's just a bunch of crap. I didn't add it. All right, so now this is the house of Ham. We're looking at right here. This first picture you see are the ones that look like they're in native attire. That is the Australian Aborigines. And here they go. The oldest civilization still on Earth. That is false. That's their out of Africa talking stuff right there. And then over here you got some haplogroup A among the Cochin. Also among the Cochin, our brother Ron, elder brother Ron Dalton, he liked to talk about the pygmies. These guys, they're down there in the same region with the pygmies, but they belong to haplogroup A, and they are a short dwarf people as well. I think the tallest they get is like 5'1". They don't really get that tall, but not all of A. And then you got some of the Nilotic, this haplogroup B guy down here where man, I can't see that image. Good Lord. Hold on. Let me widen this. All right. Can y'all see it? Is it bigger on y'all screen? But now I can't see the chat. Okay, Judah, this was gonna be a mess on your channel, bro. All right, there we go. I widened it. All right. So as you see on this that said Herbo, YDNA, Nilo, this is haplogroup B. Some of these people are among the Dinka as well, and they are very tall. They average like 6 foot something in height. All right, so not all of haplogroup B are dwarfs. It's not just made up of the pygmies. And I go over right here. Group, branch B. Haplogroup B is not only assigned to the dwarf pygmies. You got the Xhosa, Zulu, and Shona. They are B2A1A, BM109. You can find them in Central, East, and Southern Africa. And then you got the Hazara. They're B2B. BM112/B7179. You find them in East Africa. And then here they go again, the Dinka, the ones who I was talking about, the tall ones. The Dinka in Nuer, B2A, and they are BM150. And you find them along the Nile Valley and East Africa. And then we have the ones that's from the Dahomey region, aka the Kingdom of Judah. The Fon people who helped enslave our ancestors, they are also among haplogroup B. As you see right here, they're B2A and 150. I don't know what it is with Wikipedia and them images. Man, I had to pull this sister all the way off the screen. They trying to get me banned. Before I get started. All right. Now, F basal, F star deception coming soon. Forbidden Truth about DNA, part 2. In the upcoming installment of Forbidden Truth about DNA, we will take a deeper look into these F star basal Eurasian groups, as mainstream geneticists loves to call them. Again, that's F, G, H, and K. When really they are descendants of Ham that are purposely mislabeled to fill the out of Africa deception. No, I am not saying all of these latter groups are Ham, just certain pockets within them. Now, we're going to move on to M89. This is the house of Japheth. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. It's Genesis 9:27. Now, when we look at the haplogroups that belong to the M89 patrilineal paternal seal, you will clearly to be able to see the enlargement of Japheth. It's supposed to be able to see, all right. A Japheth haplogroups F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. He got a lot of the alphabet, y'all. We ain't gonna keep pushing it. He got a lot of alphabet. Just look on there, all right. And then we go over here. This map is supposed to represent Eurasia. You see, they have the so-called, what they now term as the Middle East. They got the Middle East on here as part of Eurasia. It's funny. You don't see Africa nowhere on this map. But when you're looking at this map, what I'm showing you this map is, you see the YAP, that's gray. When you see all the little gray pieces of the pie, that's the YAP group. And then it's a gold one that says M130. That is part of haplogroup C. Now, the rest of these colors on here, yellow, blue, green, red, and the tealish, lightish blue color down there, all of those are M89. Them are Japheth's descendants. And then over here, you get your, to the right, you got your average location of phenotypes, whatever. It's just going over all the different faces of them. All right, all the different faces of them. And then up there, there's a little cluster diagram I put up above and for all of Japheth's groups. You've seen this in the first documentary if you watched it. All right. We will come back to this image after we get done introducing the house of Shem, which will include us going over different phenotypes. So remember this image. I'll pull it back up again in the slides. House of Shem. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, or the Most High Yah of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Genesis 9:26. The Most High Yah of Shem, not of Ham or Japheth, but of Shem. Look at the distinction. The blessing was passed from Noah to Shem. The Y marker for the house of Shem is YAP, and it covers the fewest of the A through T groups and the International Society of Gimmicks Genealogy. I'm just playing. International Society of Genetics and Genealogy tree groups D and E are the only two groups that carries this paternal seal. No other groups carry the YAP seal. It's only D and E. And where you can find D and E is the Mesopotamia, of course, Africa. Then you can go over here in Tibetan, Japan region. You can find them there. Yeah. So as you see from looking at this map, E is strictly within the region of where the Shemites dwelt. Man, I was supposed to put this. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can put this map up here. Let me add. Let me find this map. Just shouldn't take that long. All right, so I'm gonna pull the slide down for a quick second after we go over the three patrilineal paternal houses, recap Ham, basal, negative of both M89 and YAP genetic signatures, groups A, B, C, F basal, G, H, K, G, H, and K. Japheth. All right, M89 genetic marker, groups F. I got a question mark there because there's some foul play with this one. Some of these people don't have the M89 marker. These were, they were supposed to be the father M89. But once they found out that indigenous people didn't have it, they created G, H, I, J, K, L, M. and so on, when they found out that they didn't actually have M89. Shabbat Shalom, positive vibes. I'm glad to see you in the building. All right, and then as you see, we go down here. I have for K, formerly K5. That's a lot of deception. S is also formerly a K, and then as Brother Ryan pointed out, T is also formerly K. It's a lot of deception within there. All right, Shem, YAP, genetic marker, groups D and E. All right. Now I got enough of y'all in here, right? So how many, if you all believe that Esau is the progenitor of the white man, put a 1 in the chat. And if you believe Esau is not the progenitor of the white man, put a 2 inside the chat. And then we finna expose some deception. All right, I got a 2. I got a 2. Oh, 2. See, I knew when I came inside this small circle of community, right? I knew I came around some well thought individuals. Y'all use y'all minds. Oh man, I like that. All right, 2. All right. So y'all on point. Phenology does not equal genealogy. Looks can be deceiving. All right. Genetic fallacy. All right. What group is more perfect than the group of Ham for this section of mainstream genetics dismantling? We will have a look at Haplogroup C, who is negative of both the M89 and YAP signatures. We will be focusing on the pink section of this chart. This is an old phylogenetic tree chart. We're going to be focusing on this pink side over here. Me uploading the slides to StreamYard. You can't see my cruiser for some reason. But yeah, we're going to be focusing on this pink part right here. Now, let me pull this banner down. All right. Now right here we have a Siberian male, right? Haplogroup CM217. This is the House of Ham, y'all. All right. See this Siberian male, right? Haplogroup CM217. And then you got an Australian Aborigine right here, Haplogroup CM347. And then you have Papua New Guinea male, Haplogroup CM38. This same branch right here, CM38, can also be found amongst the Polynesians. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Didi, you made it in. Shabbat Shalom. All right. Now, I had a guy respond to me today in a Facebook post. We're going to go over that at the end of the video. He said something about me saying that certain groups didn't look like certain groups. But then I backtracked and went to J1 of the Lemba and showing how they were dark. Now, if he was familiar with our community and in our live streams, he would know that I call people skin kins. Now, I know about DNA, so I'm not going to say everyone is going to look alike through multiple centuries and even millennia of mixing. All right, now let's go to the next slide. This guy right here, the Siberian guy, right? They're in this region up here with Japheth groups and this guy right here, he's either N or O, and also with Q. These Siberian people, they the same ones who they say went across the Siberian Strait and became the Native Americans. That's them. So for all you guys, Dan Colloway, who else? Curry Mayo. Yeah, Curry Mayo. Who said that the Israelites are the Native Americans. Which Native Americans are they? They can't be groups C, Q. They can't be any of them. Have to have the YAP marker, either D or E. And we will get to that. All right. Now, other groups that carry haplogroup C are the Polynesian males, roughly 33 to 34% carry CM38 and CM208. Then remember, these are taken from a handful of people. They just test a certain amount of people, then say this is for the entire region, when that's false. They're not testing everyone. Aboriginal Australians, males 43 to 46% CM347. Papua New Guinea, Melanesian males 10% to 60% CM38 208. It's the same as the Polynesians, as I said. Mongolian males, these are the Siberian region people, and these two, the Kazakhs. You see their percentages. Then Siberian indigenes, you see some more of them right there. And then in China, Korea, and Japan, males there carry 3 to 10% of haplogroup C, CM8. And then indigenous American males, 5 to 10%, carry haplogroup CP39. And on the last live, I touched on the CP39 from Zhang et al. Study, where they said 28 individuals tested positive for the YAP marker, but they still left them under haplogroup C. Now, we all know the stories that the northern tribes made it over to the Americas, and America's way before Columbus them, and this could be them. Mansa Musa, the guy before him, they sailed over to the Americas. The stories of them. So you have some YAP that made it over to the Americas. Who knows? This could have been the Northern Kingdom, or this could have been some other YAP group. All right. House of C, paternal haplogroup. For more information on C, you can vet my sources. You can go and check out Zhang et al. She's one of the primary, Shihong. She's one of the primary lead sources for haplogroup C studies. And then you got these other two right here. All right, let's keep moving. All right. Phenology. Okay, now back to this graph, right? Let's now turn our attention to the house of Japheth, M89, the specific branch of J that is made up of groups J1 and J2. The reason for this graph that is shown is to dismantle a lie told amongst these people, or is it really a lie? Now, you see, it says Y haplogroup distribution in modern Saudis from the peninsula. It says 71% of them carry haplogroups J1. Then you got J2. And then who else you got on here? Oh, look, you got some Israelites on there. You got E1B1A. Then you got E1B1B, who won't be discussing later. We got some Hamites on there too. Look, yeah, A and B on there. But no one migrated. Everyone stayed in their same pockets. Look at all these mixed nations in the Saudi Arabia region. All right. Now, where is that? Me and my mic.
Hundreds of strangers in the busiest streets of London, New York, and LA. And the first question we asked them was, with a world population of almost 8 billion people, how many Jews do you think there are in the world?
How many Jews are there in the world?
That's an interesting question. 100 million.
I would say a lot.
A lot. Definitely a lot.
I think there's around 1 billion Jews in the world, probably.
I'd say there's around 600 million.
Gee, 100 million?
50 million Jewish people in the world.
I have no idea, but a lot of them live here in New York City.
A little under 1 billion Jews in the world, maybe less.
80, 90 million?
I'm just going to say 30 million.
Maybe 30 million Jews in the world.
300 million?
100 million or more? Yeah, it gotta be.
Something like 100 million.
1.5 billion?
25 million. Or more.
200 million, maybe a bit more.
I'm gonna say 20%.
I have no idea. I know it's a lot of them and they all over the world, but I have no idea.
1.2 billion.
Ready for the facts? We are approximately 15 million Jews worldwide, which means we are 0.2% of the world population.
Deception detected. Oh man, he said 15 million. All right, where did the slide go? We right. I'm tripping. We already on slide. All right. What 15 million? What is this based off? Is it religion or genetics? Let's see. All right. This number comes from them taking a religious sector and comparing it to the total number of humans on the earth. From what we know from scripture, the Israelites are blood descendants from the man Jacob, whose name became Israel. Now we're going to turn over here to the mainstream bot. I asked it. I said, modern Jews claim that they are the smallest in numbers. And it said, yes. When compared to the world's other major global religions, Jews are by far the smallest group in terms of population. Right? According to data analyzed by Pew Research Center, the total core convert population worldwide stands approximately at 15.8 to 16.5 million people out of global human population exceeding 8.2 billion. Convert people account for only about 0.2%. 0.2% of the world's population. To put their relative numbers into perspective, they are heavily outnumbered by all other globally recognized belief systems. What does belief systems have to do with the world's population? All right, the global scale comparison. We don't care about that, how many people down there. How many of you guys knew about a religion called the Six? I see you woke yourself out. I'm gonna move past it. All right. Let's look at this from a genetic standpoint. What paternal haplogroups make up mainstream's, not Yah's, Jewish population? As you can see from the information to the right, there are 7 different patrilineal haplogroups in mainstream's Jewish population. Now, remember, I told you in the beginning, we have to stand by the strict rule when it comes for genetics when it comes to tracking paternal lineages. Y goes in a straight path. Now, they have all these different branches over here. This reality becomes even clearer when you look at how the populations compare. The Arabian Peninsula, as we looked at earlier, populations like those in Yemen are overwhelmingly dominated by single paternal group J1. That's a lie. Everyone in Yemen is not majority J1, but that's what they want you to believe from their test. They represent a high degree of single lineage paternal continuity. Jewish populations, no single paternal lineage. There you go. No single paternal lineage holds a majority. The population is structurally a coalition of distinct lineages. But they claim everyone in the Ashkenazi, Jewish, Abrahamic faith are all related. To see exactly how these different fathers break down the main paternal branches that form this religious alliance, dang, even the mainstream bot call it a religious alliance, include the Southern Desert Father, J1, who is not even from the desert, but they call him the Southern Desert Father, tied to early Semitic pastoralists. Semitic, there go that word Semitic. That's just a group of common Semitic languages. That is not Shemitic. Difference between the two. The Northern Agriculture Father, J2. At least they put J2 in the northern region, huh? Tied to the Bronze Age Mediterranean Fertile Crescent farmers. That's false. We know where they come from. And then we have the Northeast Africa Levantine Father, E1B1B. Look, they put these fools as E1 as Northeast African. They make sure they throw the African on them. We're going to touch them later. Tied to the ancient Afro-Asiatic migration routes. Then you have the Anatolian Caucasus Father, G2A, tied to early European. Then you got the R1B, so you got the Romans, both groups of the Romans, and then they threw Q in there. So all this group right here, all of them make up the all these groups right here make up the Ashkenazi Jews. All right. And then where do we go? All right. So 15 million fallacy, right? This proves that their claims are based off of religion and not genetics. These numbers only represent their modern termed Middle East that I'm going to show you guys. We would just be focusing on the J's, J1 and J2. I asked the mainstream bot, I said, let's calculate the total men in the Middle East carrying haplogroups of J1 and J2. The number of men in the Middle East who carry either haplogroup J1 or J2 is approximately 114 million to 129 million. What happened to that 15 million number? Good Lord. All right. Together, these two sister branches from the backbone of the Middle Eastern paternal gene pool, accounting for a massive 45 to 51% of the entire male population in the region. The regional breakdown. We ain't gonna go over that. It shows you how it calculated to find how many of them had this haplogroup. But I just thought they were 15 million in numbers. But dang, 114 million, 129 million. Okay. Next, all right. Phenology does not equal genealogy. All right. The Bubba. I know y'all see me bringing him up a lot, right? The Bubba of the Lemba are melanated. However, according to them in mainstream geneticists, they are of the J1 and J2 lineages. These individuals possesses the M89 paternal seal and belong to the house of Japheth. Maternal DNA, sub-Saharan, L1 and L2 and L3 are they mothers. This is why I told you the female's DNA helps with phenotypes. They keep mating and keep mating and keep mating over time with the same woman. They gonna coming out looking like the Bubba of the Lemba. You wouldn't even think that they were descendants of Japheth. But all these faces right here are of the J1 and J2 groups. All right, Yemenites are another group where geneticists claim 70 to 80% of men tested carries the M89 markers. Remember, that's 70 to 80% of men tested. That's not of all the men in the region, but they like to throw that for the entire region. Oh, your son love this type of information? Well, make sure you share this with him. He gonna crack up at some of this when he see it. But this is what I've been put here to do. Show you guys the deception behind this DNA stuff. All right. I will cover more on the M89 positive members of the Lemba and forbidden truth about DNA's next installment. Let's now change our focus to the YAP house of Shem. Notice a group on the list that looks similar to E1B1A. It has a different letter at the end. B. Has a different letter at the end. B. And there we go. The Northeast, the one that they called African. The African Levantine father. All right. Now we got another video, y'all. Hold on.
Today's message is Ashkenaz or Esau. Everybody say Ashkenaz or Esau. Now, you already know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the modern Jews, the modern state of Israel, who call themselves the Ashkenazi, which is very interesting because Ashkenaz was the great-grandson of Noah through Japheth, not through Shem, and certainly not through Jacob. Not of Abraham, but Shemites would be Shem and Abraham and Jacob and even Esau. But Ashkenaz is a Japhethite descendant, and they claim to be of Ashkenaz. This is already bizarre behavior. Right at the beginning of this sermon, this is really strange. Let's take a look at who Ashkenaz is in Genesis chapter 10. Go ahead and go there with me. I'm using...
Apparently, Rich Tidwell, he's supposed to have separated the three houses like I did, but when he did it, man, that crap is butchered. You can tell the spirit ain't on him. Like when you lose the natural mind and the Most High give you the spiritual mind, you be able to see so many mysteries on this earth. And I promise you, like when some of the stuff I see, it will scare you out. But we're gonna go back to this video. He's already tripping.
The app called The Literal Word. It is free for both iPhone and Android. I don't get any kickbacks or anything like that. It's free. My sermons are free. It's a great tool that I love to use. It has the NASB 95 built into it. It also has the ESV and it has the KJV and the LSV, I think, but I never really used the LSV. It is a great app. It's free. One reason we love it is because you can hold down a word in the Old Testament or the New Testament. Like, let's hold down coastlands, and it will tell you, or let's do nations. Nations is goy. That's a popular word right now. So it'll show you what the original word is in Hebrew if it's the Old Testament, or in Greek if it's the New Testament. Again, it's called the literal word. You can download it. Okay, so Genesis chapter 10, verses 2 and 3. Look at this. The sons of Japheth were Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshech and Tiras. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz and Riptha and Togarma. Ashkenaz. Now, I'm not claiming, don't get ahead of me. I'm not claiming that the Ashkenazi are actually descendants of Ashkenaz or Japhethites. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's extremely bizarre that the group claiming to be Jews, claiming to be the Israelite descendants of Jacob, would name themselves after a descendant of Noah through Japheth. That doesn't make any sense. You can ponder that for a little bit and nothing is going to make sense. Nothing is going to logically make sense. Why a group that supposes to be the Israelites of the Bible, which we know that Dr. Skrecki, one of their leading geneticists, already has admitted on the record that they can't prove they're the Israelites of the Bible. This group, they're claiming to be of Ashkenaz. This is super weird. It obscures who they are. And the only reason why you would change who you are and who you descend from is because you're hiding your actual origins. You're throwing people off. Now, if you're not familiar, we've been in a series called the Synagogue of Satan series, and it's based on Jesus's words in Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, and Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Let's read Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. That's
Rich, where did y'all get this from? Who did y'all get Rev 2:9 and 3:9 from? Y'all stay jocking. Who did y'all get this from? But you know what? I'm going to pause it.
the typical one that I read, and we'll go there, Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. And it says this: Behold, I will cause those of the synagogue of Satan who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. I will make them come and bow down at your feet and make them know that I have loved you. Now, this is the key, okay?
All right, we're going to back up a few slides real quick. Now, remember, he said, why would a Shemite group that's supposed to be the Israelites name themselves out the descendant of Japheth? When you look at this list, everybody on here is descendants of Japheth except for one Shemite group. Now let's go back to the Shemite group. That's why Rich Tidwell. All right, E1B1B. What is its relations to E1B1A? This is what everybody most likely came for. All right. Who is Y haplogroup E1B1B to E1B1A? High resolution study of the Samaritans identifying their lineage and indigenous to the Levant and carrying the YAP plus E1B1B signature. Pidong Shen et al. Over here, this image is from the Jewish Encyclopedia. This is a picture of those so-called claimed Samaritans, but we know they're not the true Samaritans, but this is what they look like. All right. They bruise. Yeah, they bruise, but they ain't the bruise you think they are. Now we know they are not the true Samaritans. Who is E1B1B to E1B1A? We know that the Assyrians brought other nations into the land after the northern kingdom was removed. Who does 1st Esdras and 2nd Maccabees mention? And Judas went out and made war on the sons of Esau in the land to the south, and he struck Hebron. Why Judas struck Hebron? Ain't that a Judah territory? Hebron? Ain't that one of Judah's cities? and its villages, tore down its fortress and burned its towers all around it. That's First Maccabees 5:65. Forced conversion. According to Josephus' Antiquities, Hyrcanus gave the Idumeans an ultimatum: leave the land permanently or stay and accept, I hate that word, accept Judean law, including circumcision. They chose to stay, and from that point onward, the Idumeans were legally absorbed into the broader Judean population. All right. Herod the not so great. This exact forced integration during the late Maccabean Hasmonean era that allowed an elite Idumean family to rise to power, eventually producing Herod the Great. Herod parents' Arab origins. Wasn't his faith Judaism? Who was E1B1B to E1B1A? His mother, Cyprus, a Nabatean-Arab. His father, Antipater, the Idumean Edomite-Arab origin. Early century contemporary Roman era geographers like Strabo note that the Idumeans were fundamentally of Nabatean-Arab origin who had crossed into southern Judea and assimilated with the locals. Geographically, historians classify the Idumeans of this time as Arab by ethnicity, but Jewish by faith. How they can be two ethnicities at once? That is crazy. As they had been forcibly converted to Judaism by the Hasmonean Maccabees around 112 BCE. Born an ethnic Idumean, but is Arab by ethnicity. How does this make any sense? It makes perfect sense in the lens of deception. Again, who is E1B1B to E1B1A? Two more witnesses. Two or more witnesses. All right. Ibn Manzur. I'm going to butcher these names. I got a broken American language, y'all. I'm going to butcher these names. Ibn Manzur, Lisan al-Arab. The Arabs describe themselves as black Aswad and dark Asmar, and they describe the non-Arabs like the Romans, Persians, and Greeks as red Amar. It's not the red that you guys is going to think. So let's keep going. Now, we see what the Arabs of old times, how they classify them. So, right. Al-Mubarak, Al-Kamil. The Arabs used to say so-and-so is white, Abyad, meaning he is clean of faults. But if they meant white of skin, they said red, Amar. So if they was talking about white outsider, they called them Amar. All right, the red ones are the non-Arabs because the complexion of the Arab is black Aswad and dark Asmar. Al-Jahiz, Fakar, Al-Sudan, Al-Badan. The blacks Al-Sudan include the Ethiopians, the Nubians, the Zanj, and the Arabs. What else did they say about themselves? Let's see what else these Arabs said about themselves. All right. The Arabs wrote about their crisp, tightly coiled, kinky, woolly hair. They described the foreign Romans, Persians, and others. This also go for you Greeks, having straight, flat hair. Also, we seen that they took pride in being dark-skinned. Do you all see where we are heading with this? All right, we're going to look over here. I said, did the Arabs write about their hair, their hairiness also? All right. Did the Arabs write about their hairiness also? All right. I asked the mainstream bot. Yes, classical Arab writers wrote extensively about their hair texture, but they rarely focused on general body hairiness like chest or back hair because they heavily prioritized the specific grooming standards. Instead of writing about broad body hair, the original dark-skinned Arab lexicographers and poets focused intensely on the two specific areas, the texture of the hair on their heads and the growth of the beard. All right, let's see what they say. Just as early Arabs used skin color to differentiate themselves from northern outsiders, they use hair texture in classical dictionaries like Lisan al-Arab by Ibn Manzur. The authors explicitly state that kinky, curly hair was an inherent trait of pure Arabians, while straight, lank hair belonged to foreigners. Dang, hey, these Arabs sounding like some brews. But we know which lineage of people call themselves Arabs. All right. The Arab hair type, jad. The word jad translates to crisp, tightly, coiled, kinky, or woolly. That's that nappy. What's that kanky see? What's some hair textures, y'all? Ibn Kutayba. I'm gonna butcher it. Al-Zamashka Street, whatever. It's explicitly noted kinky, woolly hair, jad, is from the Arabs, and lank, straight hair, sopt, is from the non-Arabs. The foreigner hair type, sopt. Straight, flat was called sopt. Early writers associated this strictly with Ajam, non-Arab, specifically targeting Romans and Persians. Okay, all right. Now we're gonna skip that, all right? No, let's go ahead and finish reading this. No. Go back. All right, finish the bottom. The culture pride. Having tightly coiled hair was highly praised in early poetry because it didn't flow loosely in the intense desert wind and was seen as a sign of rugged, pure-blooded desert lineage. So everybody in the region was nappy. They had that kinky, hanky, nappy. Everybody. That's what they pride themselves on in the desert. Their hair wasn't blowing and flowing in the wind because it was tight, coiled up. BBs, in the kitchen area. That's what they had. BBs in the kitchen area. Even the Arabs had it. Now, back to this image, right? E1B1B, Esau, twin brother to E1B1A, Jacob. That's right. The men in this photo are the descendants of Esau, Edom, Idumea, North African Berbers, Moors, and who modern day geneticists call the Samaritans. This is them. This is Esau in this picture, y'all. This is Esau. You woke yourself, bro. You was right. You said them brews. Yeah, it was them brews, but it was the other brews. Now, let's go into the DNA. All right, we're finna go into the DNA, y'all, now. All right. Twin brothers E1B1A, E1B1B and E1B1A. Trombetta, Cruciani et al. Found that haplogroups EM2, E1B1A, and EM329, we went over this before, which was E1B1C, are united by V38 and V100 mutations, reducing the E1B1 structure to just two parallel sister lines, E1B1A, V38, and E1B1B, M215. The research demonstrates that no intermediate paternal steps exist between these two branches, which both originate from the shared EP2 node. This is it right here, that P2 node, and it shows E1B1B and then E1B1A. All right. Now we're finna get into the fascinating stuff, y'all. All right. Cruciani et al. 2002, 2004, and 2007 papers laid the groundwork initially classified as E3A and E3B, mapping out how they split early from a single source in East Africa. E1B1B, Esau, E1B1A, Jacob. According to Schreiner et al. 2018, the E1B1A V38 branch migrated from northeastern Africa across the Green Sahara roughly 19,000 years ago. Here they go with that Victorian era dating crap. They got to push the dates, y'all. They got to push the dates. That's how they help deceive people. They got to push the dates for the Outer Africa theory. Moving from east to west, while its parent line originated in the east, the E1B1A1 M2 branch established itself in West or Central Africa. This is what they want the world to believe. Sub-Saharan Africa. All right. Okay, E1B1B and E1B1A are immediate siblings, but that does not mean they are twins. In the voice of the skeptics, you know, I have people on the forums. I stopped going on these forums because it's useless. It's useless. All right, they like, oh, they ain't twins. They split 42,000 years ago. How can you believe in the Bible and believe in atheist secular science at the same time? You can't believe in both. You only can eat at one table. Either you believe the Most High's dates or you believe man-made science perverted dates. Oh yeah, man. One West doctrine been destroyed. We ain't even finished yet. We finna go in. All right. Twin base pair mutations. Now, this is what I go into that a lot of other people, they not going into yet. All right. Twin base pair mutations. And the Most High said unto her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from your bowels, and one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. Genesis 25:23 through 24. Now let's go over here to the mainstream bot. I asked, the range for twins in the womb and mutational differences is this doggone StreamYard logo in the way, but they want a brother to pay for it. Eventually I might will. When it comes to, all right, let's go back over. The range of twins in the womb and mutational differences is when it comes to base pairs in between 10 to 100, correct? And the rest of it just say for twins who have a difference of mutations in the womb. Yes, that range generally is correct, though it depends heavily on how early mutations happen during development. A landmark study by Decode Genetics and Nature Genetics found that identical monozygotic twins differ by a range of 5.2 early developmental mutations. However, about 15% of identical twins accumulate a much higher number of mutations from the subset. The number of base pair differences separating them frequently exceeds 100 single nucleotide mutations. How twins diverge in the womb. Early post-zygotic mutations. As cells divide rapidly in the womb, errors, de novo mutations occur during DNA replications. It's just saying that when one twin split off, it can develop a mutation that the next one won't. Now, we finna keep moving on, all right? Now, twin base pair mutations. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 60 years old when she bare them. Boy, him and Abraham was pumping out them old men babies. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in the tents. Now, when we go over here and you look at this picture of data that I have here, this shows the physical Y coordinate of the two for E1B1B and E1B1A. Also, I have Abraham and Isaac on there. We will discuss that later. We're not worried about that. Now, from their Y chromosome positions, when you look at Esau and you look at Jacob, there's only a 27 base pair mutational difference. Now remember, when we go back to this, for identical twins, the base pair difference is between 10 to 100. And right here, we have a base pair difference of 27 between E1B1B and E1B1A. Geneticists, we slinging that rock at that dome right now. That deception is coming to full light. All right, now, true identity of Esau. The Arabs wrote about their crisp, tight, coiled, kinky, woolly hair. They described the foreign Romans, Persians, and others as having straight, flat hair. Al-Jahiz, Fakar, Al-Sudan, Al-Abadan. The blacks Al-Sudan include the Ethiopians, the Nubians, the Zanj, and the Arabs. Now, let's go into the word Esau. Let's go into the Hebrew, as our brothers like to do. Esau, eldest son of Isaac and Rebekah and twin brother of Jacob. sold the birthright for food when he was hungry, and divine blessing went to Jacob, progenitor of the Arab peoples. Now, Esau isn't the only progenitor of the Arabs. We also have Ishmael. They were both wellly intertwined. They're both progenitors of the Arabs. And as you see for Esau equal hairy. That's why Esau was called Esau, the hairiness. He came out the same complexion as Jacob. He was just covered in red hair. I was supposed to did something, you know, they like to say, oh, Esau, the white man, because he spoiled his seed. That word spoiled just means destroyed. Esau destroyed his seed. He destroyed his lineage. He destroyed his children. Like when the Most High said he was going to give the Israelites for a spoil. You was going to be destroyed. You was going to be destroyed. Everyone eventually intermingled over time, whether forcefully or, what's that word? Forcefully or brain for it, man. Or just willingly. All right. True identity of Esau. What is the blessing of Jacob's twin brother? And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, behold, your dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of the heaven from above. And by your sword shall you live and shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass when you shall have the dominion that you shall break his yoke from off your neck. Genesis 27:39-40. And then over here, me and the mainstream bot, we're going over this source that I found for the Arabs, right? The classical historical description of Amir ibn al-Tufail portray one of the, you can't even see because the string goes. So he's one of the mightiest warriors of the Arabs, right? Arabia's most physically striking, formidable, fierce tribal warriors. As a legendary chieftain and poet of Banu Amir tribe, his appearance reflected his volatile, unyielding lifestyle. All right. And he was one-eyed during his famous inter-tribal battles of Fallacy against the Khatam tribe. Amir was struck by a spear and permanently lost one of his eyes. Wounded physique, despite his massive physique, his body was covered in severe scars and extensive cavalry raids. He famously lost one of his legs later engagements, which forced him to temporarily step down from active command, blah, blah, blah. All right, now let's go over his description, right? As referenced in a viral translation glitch, classical Arabic translations often highlighted his extreme physical traits to emphasize his raw masculinity, the hairiness of men. He was the hairiest of the men. Commentaries log him as being exceptionally hairy compared to his peers. The erect braids. He proudly wore his braids, long hair, in 4 heavy braids that stood straight and upward on his head. Classical writers described them as like horns of Arabian mountain ibex. All right. The raw turban, boom, boom, boom. We don't skip that. We don't get into his reputation. This how feared this man was. This how feared this Edomite was. Amir ibn al-Tufail possessed an aura that extended far beyond Najad. In compilation, what? Okay, in compilation text that Afkat at Tahrir is recorded that his reputation was so widespread that even the Byzantine, during the Byzantine Roman era, right? The Byzantine Roman emperor, the Caesar, would question visiting Arab caravans about their relations to him. If they shared a lineage with him, the emperor would immediately elevate their status out of fear and respect for his combat prowess. Shabbat Shalom. My wife made it, y'all. My beautiful wife is in the chat. Hey, baby. Speculative T. All right. Now, as you see, Esau, he was blessed with the sword. The Romans feared him. The Romans feared this Edomite. Now, let's keep going. Esau identified. Now that we know his true identity, let's look at a video of him still in the land that our people love to share. All right. I added a different sound to this video than the original. Now that you understand who you looking at in the land, it's more kind of sinister. So I added the appropriate music for it. Y'all peep this Arab style garden. Yeah, look at the Edomites. They just putting their signature on everything. All right, I think we could let's finish the video. We don't have to keep playing that. Let's go back to our slides. All right. Now, mainstream genetics, right? Mainstream geneticists and those who converted to the faith, they would want you to believe that the top left image that you see for haplogroup E is what E1B1B looks like. Now, this is what they look like after mating with the descendants of Japheth for how long? Man, how long have we been out the kingdom? It's been, some of us been out the kingdom for over 2,000 years. And then others, we're approaching 2,000 years. Now, this is from, and now you got to remember that Japheth descendants, they have been there since the Persian invasion, since the Greeks, and since the Romans. So they have been in, these are the same people that was in the land during the Messiah's reign and walk, when he was saying, you know, my sheep hear my voice, like you're not of my fold. And he was talking about them making them proselytes. He was talking about all these different groups being in the land. But back to this. So they want you to believe that these Europeanized E1B1B guys, or this is their phenotype actually look like. But when you look at the other images, like the Samaritans down there, that they say are the Samaritans, that's haplogroup E1B1B. The one where it says Afar and Arab and Egypt, all of those, these guys, they're E1B1B. And then up top, you see two couples right there. A couple right there, they're E1B1B. And then this branch right with these guys right here with the ones who painted their beards red, those can be some Hamites, and that also can be some of Edom in there. Like, why are they painting their hairs red? Are they represent their father? We know that there's a tribe in Africa who calls themselves, I think it was Edom and Esau, and they do the same red thing with their hair. But they are not European. Even the ones that look European, their DNA inside is YAP. It's not M89. They can look European all they want. Their DNA is still YAP. That's the same with like Blake Griffin and his son. If Blake Griffin has the YAP marker, his son, no matter if he looked like Michael Jackson after finally treating his skin after the Phenology and transforming his nose and stuff, he's still going to have the YAP marker. White in complexion, melanated in DNA. All right. Esau is not the white man. They look just like us. As you look right here, this picture to the left shows a convoy of slaves traveling through the Sudan. This is the North African Berbers taking the Israelites when they was in area Sudan, taking them into slavery. Those are Edomites on them camels walking the Israelites. All right. And then you got the so-called fake Samaritans, Esau. All right. Now we're finna jump into another section of the slides. I added this recently. We wasn't going to go over this, but it's some more deception that came out. So we're finna dismantle the molecular clock. Slow time. Oh, yeah, I did not hear that chord reference. All right. Who's behind these tests? All right. There's a recent article that came out April 2016. They got people on these online forums running around saying, oh, this new study that came out proves that J1 and J2 are the Natufians, but they misread that form. I mean, they misread that article. Once I read the article, I found out what it actually says, and we're going to go over there. All right. So who's behind these tests? This guy right here. You got David Risch to the left. He's Jewish descent, is what they call it. He's of Jewish descent. He's of one of those Ashkenazi haplogroups, one of those 7 that I showed you. And then this guy right here, Akabari, I believe he's Jewish as well, but they all them tied together, right? The lie, we're finna go over his report. The lie, internet forums claim this 2026 report proves that haplogroups J1 and J2 are natively Epipaleolithic Natufian to imply a continuous local ancient baseline. The truth behind the actual article, the paper features 0 tables or graphs mapping J1 and J2 origins. It is simply origins. It is a study on natural selection coefficients, not a paternal lineage migration map. The category error. These commentators intentionally conflate autosomal DNA with paternal haplogroups. A skeleton modeled with 60% regional Natufian-like genomic soil, talking about dirt here, soil, does not mean its J1 and J2 paternal line originated there. The chronological illusion, secular Bronze Age herder migrations are used as deep time proxies to actively rename and obscure the rapid documented movements of the biblical Shemite nations, Assyria, Neo-Babylonian, etc., etc. All right, so the Assyrians and who else was that? Is it the Assyrians and Aram? I think it's Aram. They make up the Neo-Babylonians, not the actual Nimrod Babylon, but the later Neo-Babylonians who came and took the southern kingdom into captivity. All right. And the Japhetic empires, the Medo-Persians. They mixed these two. All right. Now, let's add our map up here. Now, we went over this map before, right? This shows the map. As you can see, the whole Middle Eastern region, as they love to call it, all that land was Shem. That belonged to Shem. Of course, Canaan, he went into the land of Israel that he wasn't supposed to, and he's right there. And then you see up here, you got Babylon, and then you have Sumer. This was Nimrod's old region and territory. And then Ashur, he came and placed, what was his region? I think I got that slide. Let's see. No, I didn't add it. I was supposed to add it. Dang. We're just gonna skip over it. But Ashur region that he placed right there. All my Bible nerds. What region, what did Ashur, it's in Genesis in the table of nations when they're going over is it Nineveh? I think it's Nineveh. I think it's Nineveh. And Nineveh started and Ashur started Nineveh, which was in the region of Babylon. Yeah. So it's just showing that Shem and Ham, they always shared lands. All right. Now let's drop this map down. And then here go Japheth, descendants right here. Madai, the Medes, J1 and J2. This is where they was at. They was right next to Elam, Ashur, and Babylon. They daddy beg for their land because he didn't want to be up there with the rest of his kinfolks. It's something about the descendants of Japheth and not wanting to claim they forefather. Man, Esau, he's trying to steal our identity, but Japheth, they taking on a whole different patrilineal branch lineage. They don't like their granddaddy. Great fore granddaddy. Man, Japheth turning in his grave. If I was him, I'd disown them. All right. So the real takeaways from that article, this article simply just told you that the Medo-Persians, J1 and J2, beat the Romans, R1B and R1A, to Judea. Once you break through all the evolutionary mumbo jumbo. However, we already know this because our beloved Bible already states this. The timeline weapon, pushing regional J1 and J2 arrivals into thousands of imaginary years, forces a materialist narrative that actively works to break science free from Moses. What do they mean, break science free from Moses? Oh, okay. All right. Intro to secular deception. That's what we're going to name this section. Everyone meet the intellectual father of deep time chronological deception, which led to the modern day molecular clock system. The modern day molecular clock system, they later expanded upon his works. And that's how you get the slow time of 10,000, 100,000 years ago, and whatnot. We're going to cover more on this creep right here. What Rich T will say, the word most used word goy, but I like Lashawan Kodash because it's something of our own. So this goy YM of right here, he wrote a letter to Paulette Scrope, and let's see what his letter say. He was going to get into this this publication. I think, what is it called? I forget what the Q really stands for, but whatever. My dear Scrope, you ought to have received more sheets along ere this. We hope to be out in 10 days, as I had nothing to do with your being my reviewer. This guy that he's writing is supposed to review him for the article, for his book that's coming out. I am certainly right glad of it, and not the less so that having withdrawn from the fight, sometime you may be more disinterested, maybe a more disinterested umpire than many others who, like you, have committed themselves in print to many opinions. I am sure you may get into, this is the publication he was getting into, what will free science from Moses. He wanted to free science, geology. He wanted to free it from Moses. This guy has this beef with Moses for some reason. I don't know why he has a beef with Moshe. For if treated seriously, the party are quite prepared for it. A bishop buckling Ascertained, we suppose, Summer gave a dressing in the British Critic and Theological Review. They see at last the mischief and scandal brought to them by Mosaic systems. Right? They felt that the Mosaic systems, they couldn't understand it. That's because they didn't have the spirit to discern it, but it didn't give the truth about creation. So they wanted to come up and create their own story for creation. This is where that whole evolutionist stuff, it came from this time period. They wanted to break science free from Moses. Older science. Hold on, baby. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on, my daughter. Hold on. All right, early scientists, all of them, they followed the Most High's creation story. But these guys, they wanted to come in and change it. And that's where you get this from. That's where the deep time came from. All right, that's what that letter was. He wanted to break science free from Moses. Wait, we ain't even supposed to go here yet. All right, so let's go here. Now, I had this guy, he came on one of the he did a comment on one of the articles on the videos about brother Ron Dalton. Hold on, let's share screen. We finna touch on some things that he reached out and he wanna talk about. Hold on. Window. Wait, Chrome tab. All right, here we go. Where they put it at? I think this is it right here. Let me know if y'all can see this. I gotta pull the slide down first. Hold on. All right. Can y'all see this, or is it tiny? Let's see. Yeah, that's the size of it. Man, I cannot blow this up. All right, but anyway, so this guy right here, I'm gonna call him Abadale. Yeah, I know it's small. It's small on my screen too. I can't see it. We gonna call him Abadale, right? So I'm gonna read as much of it as I can. You know what? Let me grab my phone and we gonna read it. We gonna read it from there. All right, we gonna grab my phone. We gonna read it from there. He wondered why I didn't really go hard on Brother Ron. So, I mean, I should go hard on them too then. But we ain't gonna go hard on you. Hold on. Dang, where the article he put up? Well, it's not an article. It's a... All right, this is all right from Facebook, right? Here's what he wrote. Might Ron Dalton's position on DNA be indefensible? In 2003, I participated in a discussion on Faithful, the Roman Gentile on Faithful's channel on the topic of DNA, which included a critique of some of Ron Dalton's positions. Last year, Faithful clipped up the portion of Dalton from that show and posted it as a standalone video. At the beginning of this month, August, the Edifying Topics YouTube channel put up a community post expressing the author's intention to address our critiques of Dalton's position on DNA. That is the community post you see in the attached image. Since then, he has produced 2 videos on the topic, which I would like to briefly comment on in this post. All right. It won't let me. Oh, you know what? I know how to do this, y'all. Hold on. Let's put that in a separate window over here. All right. All right. But it's still small for y'all. All right. My primary comment is that with all due respect to the gentleman, he never got around to defending Dalton's position on DNA. For example, in our critique of Dalton, we noted that Dalton's movie Hebrews to Negroes claimed that a haplogroup found among Natufians is also found among Native Americans and Australian Aboriginals. Dalton never said that. Dalton never said what precisely that haplogroup was, but knowing how confused his position on DNA has been, we offered the speculation that Dalton likely saw CT assigned to the Natufian sample and connected that to haplogroup C found among Native Americans and Australian Aboriginals. Edifying Topics' only response to that was to call that a stretch, but no attempt was made to offer an alternative. If Dalton's position is not confused, what is the haplogroup which is found among Natufians, Native Americans, and Aboriginals? With all due respect, I suspect no alternative was offered because Dalton's claims cannot be coherently defended. So this is what he believed. So, all right, this is what you want. Let's coherently defend the brother's perspective, right? So you said amongst the Aborigines and the Native Americans. If you watch this video, I already went over CP39 with the Zong et al. They went over the Native Americans. They have the YAP. We already know that groups D and E are the only ones that carry the YAP marker. So most likely, who knows, that group was Haplogroup E. So there you go. Haplogroup E. They found among the Natufians, right? All right. Now, let's also look at some sources. I will provide you the source names. You can write them out and you can check them down for yourself. You can go into these articles. Nagel et al. 2015, Antiquity and Diversity of Aboriginal Australian Y chromosomes alongside those found of C, K, M, and S, who you believe some of these don't carry the M89. Who you believe all of K, M, and S carry the M89 marker. That right there is not true. You may not be informed on this, but you may want to do more research because a lot of them are M89 negative, and there are articles out there by you guys as so-called peer-reviewed scholars that says otherwise, that a lot of them don't carry the M89 marker. But alongside them, you can find haplogroup E, you can find I, and you can find the Romans, R1b, right there amongst the Australian Aborigines. Was any of these groups found in the Rockafet caves of the Natufians? Haplogroup E, right? And then another article you can check out is Wright et al. 2016. Now note, all these articles are before Brother Dalton's 2018 documentary, Hebrews to Negroes. Did he run across these? Probably did. I ran across them. That's how I know that a certain groups that they say they were in the Natufian burials had these markers. Deep Roots for Aboriginal, Wright et al. The Wright et al. 2016, Deep Roots for Aboriginal Australians, Y chromosomes, also found there, the same groups from a different, there we go, two or more witnesses amongst the Australian Aborigines, E, I, and R. What is the Greeks haplogroup doing all the way over there? Would it be migration? Seemed like a lot of migration went on, but these geneticists believe that all these people stayed in a certain pocket and did this crazy out of Africa migration. But what I'm seeing here is biblical migrations to different regions. All right. That does that for him. So again, Abadel, I ain't want to try to your whole name. I ain't want to butcher it. You can check those sources. Haplogroups E is among the Aborigines. And also, no one ever speaks about, they always speak about how E is found in biblical Israel. And they like to tie, they want to call E1B1B the Canaanites now. Look at Esau dumb butt. He aligned himself with these people, and now they want to classify them as the Canaanites because they say that they're haplogroup is the oldest one in the land. And the Rockefeller caves, that is in the Northern Kingdom, y'all. That's in the area of Manasseh, and I forget what other tribe, but I know Manasseh is one of the tribes of where the cave is, and that's where I showed you guys this. Let's get this off the screen. Let's stop sharing this. Hold on. Can I remove this? Stop screen share. All right, we move that, and then let's put our slide back up. They want my information so bad, and to see how I came up with. They want to see how I came up with this so bad. They want the information so bad. Since, all right, we can do this. After I finish my second documentary, I may make it public for you all of you opposers to go look at it, and I may not. Like, why would I give up my secret recipe? I prayed for the spirit, I received the spirit, and I prayed for the understanding of this stuff and to be able to go in and find the deception. And the Most High granted to me. Since you all say that you keep the laws, and you all guys always kept the laws, do what the laws say do to receive the spirit. You should be able to receive the Holy Spirit. I was able to receive it. I repented, did what I was supposed to do, got rid of the natural mind and gained my spiritual mind. And I was able to see all this deception. You guys should be able to do the same thing. So back to this right here. We're going to cover this in the second documentary. As I said again, over here to the top right, that is the burial site in the land of Manasseh. In the land of Manasseh. And then right here, I asked the mainstream bot. And then he asked a question. He said, what he asked me, he said, you said that you ran files. What files did you ran? So, and I told him, I said from the ENA. The ENA is the site where they have to turn in these samples, these genetic samples. But everybody wants to do DNA, but none of them know what the ENA is. And when I say I pulled the BAM files, they don't know what pulling the BAM files is. That is where the DNA, that is where all the DNA information is. That's where you find the Y strings and all that, the paternal strings and whatnot. So, of course, for anybody new that's watching this, I went over this in the last live. For the top right, it shows the burial site. And then to the top left, it shows the deceptive all DNA database. They claim that these remains are haplogroup E1B1B. They forced the E1B1B, and Lazaridis or Lazarides, whatever you want to pronounce his name, his early report, it said E basal, and it would not give a downstream mutation because they said that the remains that they were testing were too damaged. And that was a lie, because when I ran the base score for these samples, we got a pristine score. We got a pristine score of Q41, and that's for the J score. You had some F's in there. You had a bunch of stuff in there, but you had a long J wall. You had a long J wall, which means that was grade A sampling. All right. And then, so for burial, I asked, so we go to the mainstream bot. I said, we looked at results from the Levant Rockefeller cave, from both the all ancient DNA database and the ENA raw data records. This is where I pulled the BAM files from and ran them through the terminal for I-1685, I-1690, I-1069, and a lot more. However, our main focus right now are I-1685. It may look a little blurry. I will put this image up somewhere else. All right. So you guys can go and look at the screenshot, but I will cover it more in the next documentary. I-1690, please show what we uncovered during our search. Include the genetic ID, the colloquial ID, the archaeological ID, the age and gender of each individual. All right, the archaeological ID is what you see right here on the top right. It says like H4. It just says what burial site these people were. So at burial site H15, it was a young adult male, and it said Jacob V38. The only reason why the what you call this thing, the AI is saying Jacob, is because I took it through the prompts of my assigning each group, right? The assigning the M89. The M89 is Japheth, the YAP as Shem, and the basal M89 negative and YAP negative as Ham. And then I went down the branch and we structured E1, E1B, E1B1, B1, so on, so on. So that's how it knows that Jacob is tied to V38, E1B1A. It also knows that Esau is E1B1B. All right, so again, for burial site H15, young adult male, his results came back V38. And H11 male, 9 to 12 years of age. This is what the ENA files say. Male at the T junction for paternal DNA came back Jacob V38. H14, all of these over here to the top right and on the burial site in the cave in Manasseh region. H14, another 9 to 12-year-old male, again, Jacob V38. And then it says down at the bottom, this individual provided the initial high fidelity proof of V38-A. The dumb thing tried to combine V38 and the other name, E1B1A. So that's why you see V38A. So it merged E1B1A and V38. So that's why you see V38A. It should just say V38, but these dumb bots can mess up. That's why you have to know what it is that you're looking at when dealing with these AI bots, because they would throw you for a loop. They'll tell you something ain't in the Bible that's in the Bible. So you got to know what you're doing and talking about when you're dealing with these AI generators. V38 mutation, despite being labeled as basal E or M35, which is E1B1B in secondary databases, the raw FASTQ audit showed, they ain't gonna know what raw FASTQ is neither. Audit showed a clean T junction at the Jacob coordinate verified by a solid wall of J scores Q41. And one of these samples had four different hits, like 4 different parts where it got the DNA from. The file shows you whether it got it from a bone, teeth, or etc. And all of these scores came back a high Q41 for V38. But if you listen to geneticists like Bahar et al., and we're going to call it is fake for right now because it's not Israel because we're not there. But yeah, they are the ones that are doing these studies. Why would our opposition say that E1B1A can be found in the land? That just gives us more proof. We don't need to give them proof, though. The Most High is going to make sure we get our proof. And the reason for me doing this study, y'all, and doing these presentations is for anybody who's on the fence and has any doubts about if you're Israel or not. If you want to take a DNA test, go ahead, take a DNA test if that'll bring you into the fold. But to be honest, the DNA itself is not going to get you salvation. You have to do the works. A righteous Gentile can receive favor in the eye of the Most High before a wicked Israelite can. So this blood, it doesn't mean that this blood just gives you more responsibility. It just gives you more things to repent for. And yes, I'm jealous that the Gentiles don't really have to, some of them don't really have to go through what we had to go through to receive somewhat of salvation. They could just repent for what their forefathers did. And it's crazy. But our people, we had to go through all the servitudes, all the horse chattel slavery. Our babies had to get fed as alligator bait. And then like you still see hangings and stuff today. I know. No, when I say jealousy, like it's like when I say like the Most High said he was gonna provoke us to. We provoked him to jealousy, so he was gonna provoke us to jealousy. Like I'm not really like jealous of them for real. I don't care if they receive salvation or not. That's not my thing. It's just that what our ancestors had to endure, some of them are not gonna have to endure. They're not gonna have to. They're not gonna have to endure the oppression that we go through here in our land of captivities. So yeah. I think this was I think this about wrap it up for the presentation. Yeah, 77 slides. Oh, and then on a positive note, my sister Positive Vibes, she had a good lesson out here, right? Over the faith of a mustard seed, right? Of a faith of a mustard seed. We're going to apply the mustard seed to this, right? Now, the faith of the mustard seed, like of course the Messiah is saying, he's telling the disciples, ye of little faith. It's not based off the phenology of the mustard seed. It's based off the genealogy of the mustard seed. It's based off of what's inside the mustard seed, not the outside size, but it's based off of that endurance and that resilience. So that's what you got to have in this faith. So hopefully me sharing this DNA stuff with you guys will help give you the nudge that you need to fully come out of all these perverted doctrines, all just lustful ways of living, lasciviousness, covetousness. Hopefully it helps you come out of all of that. Because me showing you this, and then you watch this video, the blood is off of my hands, and it's now on to you. It's up to you to do the works. All right, we can tell you how to receive the Spirit. We can tell you how to receive the Spirit and the Messiah, but we can't make you receive it. It's something you got to do on your own. This is your path. Or are you going to choose the path to possibly make it into the kingdom? Or are you going to choose the path to the pit? You want to be in eternal fire, weeping, teeth gnashing? I know I don't want that. So hopefully you guys don't want that neither. And to you Gentiles, don't boast above the branches, because if you was grafted in, what makes you think this E1B1A holder won't be able to be grafted back into his own natural tree? That was it. You all, man, I wanted to do this on K Judas' platform because at the end, I just imagined hearing knowledge. But with all that being said, family, enjoy the rest of Shabbat. I did not plan to keep y'all here for almost 2 hours, but we got to let the Spirit do its work. And Shabbat, Shalom. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And since we couldn't hear knowledge, K Judah, brother, I need a quiet piece from you. You're going to lead us out tonight. Ya Bahasham Yahweh Shah Hamashayak Abba Nakwam Yasharala Shalom.
Bad with the scriptures, but y'all still know my heart though. Yeah, with the verses, no. But you still keep me out. You still keep me out. You still keep me out. Came to the back with the scriptures. Still paint vivid pictures. Flaws in the frame like a fixture. Bad with the scriptures. Still Hebrew. Yeah. Bad with the verses. Strong with conviction. Heart still broke, but I'm on a mission. Don't know it all, but I know who listened. Bad with the scriptures, still Hebrew. Yeah. Didn't learn much from the lecture, but I learned fast from the pressure. Whole life feel like weight on a stretcher. Had to call, y'all couldn't call no extra. Mama had tore on the nightstand. Highlighter ink on the right hand. Told me you are not less than. Just cause you can't quote on cup, man. Scrolling through pages, can't find a line. But I feel rock when I close my eyes. Ain't always always in the pew, I be on my grind. But Yeshua caught me when I almost died. I was lost, I was low, I was bitter. Talking faith with my heart in a splinter. Y'all put me up when the hope got thinner. I ain't perfect, but I know I'm not finished, no. If I can't quote, I can still change. If I can't preach, I can still pray. If I fall short, I can still say I'm here, I'm trying, I'm staying. Back with the scriptures, painting the pictures, flaws in the frame like permanent fixtures. Bad with the verse, strong with conviction. Bad with the scriptures, still Hebrew living. Seen saints go cold in the front row. Seen the lost feel seen in the back though. So I sit where the real and the facts go. Where the Yah help me prayers hit the track, yo. I was mad at the church, mad at religion, mad at myself, stuck in decision, scrolling through the text. Like what's your vision? Then Yah's mercy cut through my suspicion. Might forget book, might miss chapter, but I don't forget the peace coming after. When I cried in the dark, you came faster. Not thunder, just a still soft answer. I'm clumsy with the words in red, but I know what Yahshua said. I ain't leaving you alone, that's bread. Hold that close when I'm losing my head. If I can't quote, I can still change. If I can't preach, I can still pray. If I fall short, I can still say I'm here, I'm trying, I'm staying. Came to the back of the scriptures, still paint vivid pictures, flaws in the frame like a fixture. Bad with the scriptures, still Hebrew, yeah. Bad with the scriptures, Hebrew. Came to the back with the scriptures, still paint vivid pictures, flaws in the frame like a fixture. Bad with the scriptures, still Hebrew. They breathing, yeah. You don't need me perfect just honest. Don't need me violent, violent just honest. Yeah, you need me flawless just honest. So I'm coming as I am, I promise. If all I say is Yah, please help, that's enough. If all I got is broken faith, lift it up. If all I know is Yahshua, I'm stuck, fill my cup. You said your power show up when I'm cut, so I'ma sing off key till my lungs get vow. Pray off beat till my fears run out. Don't know every verse, but I know this vow. Yeah, you been too good, I ain't stopping now. Some of us don't know chapter verse, but we know how it feel when you reverse that curse. Put me out the mud, out the worst. Now I walk with the word in my heart, not my purse. This for the ones in the back row, feeling like they never gonna match though. Yeah, still see you where you at, bro. Bad with the scripture, but his love still fact though. Flaws in the pictures, flaws in the frame, bad with the verse, strong will conviction. Bad with the scriptures, still Hebrew living. I still Hebrew, even when I'm slipping, yeah. Still call me yours, yeah. Bad with the scriptures, but you know my heart.